In the Sonoran Desert's high country, Mount Lemmon Summerhaven is going through an economic dry spell, dealing with one crisis after the next.
2020 has been horrible.
Jennifer Zimmerman's roots here date back to the 1930s when her grandfather visited and then opened businesses on Mount Lemmon. She works at 3 companies in Summerhaven.
Besides the COVID, the businesses were shut down for a month during COVID, the restaurants were. And then the fire came and basically everyone was evacuated. And so the restaurants, none of the businesses have been opened for a month and a half. So 2020 needs to just be done.
Lightning started the Bighorn Fire in early June. It ravaged the area for weeks, consuming more than 100,000 acres in the Coronado National Forest and getting close to Summerhaven.
The fire is actually just in the forest where it should have been, all this time. The firefighters did a miraculous job on how they directed the fire. It did get to the station and it burned the hill where the old Bullock fire was. And so that whole hillside is burned. And that's really only the horrible part where you can see. It's not anywhere near the businesses. We have 350 acres of private deeded land, and that's where Summerhaven is. That's where the donut hole is.
Because the village was spared and the road leading up to it is still accessible, Zimmerman and other merchants are upset that the county is allowing residents, employees, and cabin renters to Summerhaven, but not day visitors, the financial lifeline of the community.
Entering Summerhaven should not be an issue. There is 77 parking spaces and people can park on, certain roads. But as of right now, the businesses are dying and we really need this road open so that we can hopefully, survive something for the year of 2020. And that's the only way it's going to happen for us.
13 companies comprise the Mount Lemmon Business Economic Association, and they employ dozens of workers. They include the Mount Lemmon Hotel, which is under construction, and more longtime staples such as Mount Lemmon Ski Valley and restaurants.
There's a lot of employees who want to come to work. These people want to work. They want to get off unemployment.
While the Coronado National Forest is responsible for the land around Summerhaven, the village is part of Pima County, which is in charge of the road. The Sheriff's Department says the drive is not safe to visitors due to fire-damaged guardrails in some areas, and the county's Department of Transportation is responsible for making fixes. County Supervisor Steve Christie represents the area. He says the county is trying to get a contractor for the guardrail work.
The biggest issue is trying to find a contractor who is available that can do the work and do the work properly.
It is open for residents and for employees, which they say if it's safe for them, why would it not be safe for visitors?
Well, because of the volume of visitors that would want to go up there. Secondly, the employees and the residents, they know all the turns and twists of that road, whereas you have someone who's not familiar with it, it could cause obviously some significant injury or even worse. If those guardrails aren't in place and there's some tragedy there, yes, there's a huge liability exposure on the county's part, and the county's very well aware of that.
Christie says the county is not taking the situation lightly.
At this point, we don't have a real good sense of when those contractors will be available and how long it will take them to do it. So it is very frustrating. We all recognize the importance of getting that road open. All I could say is, as a former business owner, I know what that feels like in very difficult times over the years. I know the necessity of trying to get these things solved.
Currently, the Forest Service plans to reopen the land around Summerhaven on November 1st. Christie hopes road repairs will happen much sooner. However, there are also fears about another potential problem. Landslides triggered by monsoon storms. Fortunately, in this case, the debris stayed in a wash.
One time a sprinkle and then one time a good, decent rain with nothing. And the decent rain is when, the ash came down in Oro Valley. But, you could drive to Casa Grande and get stuck in a kaboob or whatever, one of those dust storms. This is part of life. If you see that it's going to be a really rainy day, then don't venture up to the mountain if you're afraid to drive. But there are no trees that are, on fire crossing the road. You just have to be cautious.
Meantime, on Facebook, Mount Lemon merchants are asking residents to contact Pima County supervisors about reopening the road to visitors. Zimmerman says as a temporary measure, the county could place orange cones to signal where repairs are underway or use personnel to direct traffic.
It's not a whole line of the guardrail. It's 2 feet here, 3 feet there, and they can have the construction companies flag them around. They can do that. In May of 2011, they actually shut the forest down and kept the road open. And it happened during, I think it was stage 2, because, the forest was getting ready to burn up again. And they did it. And so I don't understand why they can't do it again.
Did you ever imagine you could be in such a trying situation? First a pandemic and now a major fire in that area.
No, someone said, when do we get the locusts? So this is really a very strange and difficult time, but we're up to the task to solve the issues and to address the problems and make things right and get back to normal as soon as we can.